Hello, everybody. My name is Jenny Campbell. I'm the Chief Exec and Lead Researcher for the Resilience Engine. It's my pleasure to be part of the Academy of Executive Coaching's newsletter in November. I was a senior business leader in O2, previously BT. I'd been running things internationally. I was running a product team in O2 that was related actually unbelievably to mobile data and bringing things like mobile phones out. So quite high tech. I wasn't really a technologist per se, but very much a business person. And what made me leave was several things. I knew that I knew back actually when I did my IMD MBA that I wanted to do something more meaningful. I didn't know what that was. So I wanted to join my head and my heart up. The technology space was quite head oriented. I had a big team. I cared for them a lot, and I saw some difficult things in corporate life that I didn't really respect. And I wanted to be able to do something in a different way. I then spent a few years as pretty senior leader, but under a lot of pressure, beginning to manage myself much better. I discovered aspects around my own energy. Coaching wasn't really around at that time. I'm talking in the back end of the 90s. So I didn't actually get the option of coaching, but I was aware of my own needs in self-management and had kind of created a way of operating that meant that I was able to thrive better. And that plus some personal things that happened. My father was had cancer and died in 2002. And actually, all of that came together to say, actually, I can live life in a different way. So I left in 2002, but was searching for what profession it was. I found coaching. I found that coaching was a space that many, many, many different voices can show up in. It felt really authentic, and so I trained as a coach. So that was way back in 2002. My subsequent journey to that, I had been thinking already about, thriving and people flourishing, especially managers who take a lot of the pressure in any organization. But my research didn't get triggered until 2007. I was on maternity leave with my second child, and really interested in that whole space, and especially as a new mum, if you like. I'd wee one just of under 2, and then the second baby, and I wanted to write about my experiences about that. Felt too embarrassed to put my own voice in at the time, and so I thought I would do some research on it, and that kicked off in 2007. 2009 we first published. So the Resilience Engine at that point wasn't a sort of legal entity. It was a concept at the time. And it took more years of working in it and understanding that actually the research that I had was very impactful, and there was a high demand to understand how to make that practical and alive in organizations. Our belief, there's a couple of things. Number one is that people can help themselves be resilient in very practical ways. And if you help them get the space and this and just some aspects about that, from our research, their top barriers and top enablers, then actually they can go a long way to avoid distress or mental ill health. So it's a preventative sort of measure, if you like. The other thing is that we really believe in organisations doing this on a sustainable basis on behalf of their workforce. So our whole mission is to be able to enable organisations to do this, and we help them build what we call a scaffold of different kind of ways in which they can help their staff, their managers, their leaders do that, whether that's simply workshops, but it could actually be the fullest is to help an internal organisation create an internal capability around resilience coaching. To be able to help managers actually understand what resilient management is, resilient leadership for leaders. to create tools, techniques, etc., that they might have. And we've seen it implemented in completely different ways depending upon the organisation. Some of our internal accredited practitioners are doing things like operating wellbeing hubs, having coffee mornings, very casual things, through to more formal training, through to team coaching at the leadership level, etc., etc. So how we help an organisation is we have some services that really are, when you put the jigsaw together, they then can enable you to go on with the high touch stuff and help at scale your workforce, not just leadership and management. I've got lots of books in my head. This is the first one. Wanted it to be very much on brand, which is all about making it accessible. And so it's the tour of the Golden Nuggets. That's how I would describe it. Very much about tools, very much about explaining the kind of core theory around the one research model, which is our foremost one, called the resilience dynamic, how that actually illustrates that resilience is a dynamic capability, how it's related to safety, psychological safety, how it's related to control, stress, change. Okay, so these are the aspects of the resilience dynamic, and certainly it's definitely been an absolute joy to bring that out and to reach people that I wouldn't normally reach, and to the resilience engine practitioners who wouldn't normally reach. So it's worldwide, and we've had lots of people all over the world sort of give us feedback on it, so it's really brilliant. And of course, I'm speaking at the end of October 2020, and we are right at the heart of a second wave. It's happening all across Europe. It's happening across the UK. COVID is definitely shaping our leadership challenge at the moment, and it's from the strategic challenge of adapting, whether you're growing. So you could be in IT or pharmaceuticals or in logistics, or where there is an incredible demand and pressure to be able to deliver great services. Food manufacturing, food retailing, the same thing. So there's a tremendous requirement for fast growth versus others that will really suffer. And so that strategic capability of understanding what the path is to growth, to survival, to thriving. It may be that parts of businesses have to close. Doing that well, helping your people do that well, I think that's an overarching kind of challenge for all leaders. Thereafter, there is a huge element around maintaining the energy, the passion, the commitment of your people. It's hard. This is hard. So authentic leadership counts, collaborative leadership counts, all voices count, speed, agility. I mean, there's nothing that resilience doesn't show up in here. Resilience is your capacity for change. It's your ability to adapt in healthy and effective ways. And so it's right at the heart of how everybody is really needing to operate right now. Truth, care, kindness, clarity, autonomy, empowerment, not being afraid to stop things, restart. I think all of these things, leadership is really being demanded, to step up and into. And if you as a leader are watching this and not feeling like this, then resilience is a pathway to help you in that. The key learnings actually from our resilience research are related to what it is. It's not about toughening up. It's not about controlling everything. You don't need to be confident to be resilient. They are matching and synergistic. Performance doesn't come just from driving effectiveness or efficiencies. It actually comes from releasing capacity and innovation, and the two must be balanced. We have some research that actually the highest performance is the investment of 2 times innovation for 1 times efficiency. That doesn't mean to say that you have to ignore inefficiency, and that's really important. So some of that top level stuff is really critical. Understanding the dynamics of teams. From a strategic point of view, we know that there are concepts of what we call key resilience assets. That could be people, teams, values of the organization, processes within the organization, history, memory, all of these things and how they operate organization by organization depends on a number of factors. We're still investigating that, but it's about both those assets being catered for and nurtured, their resilience really being nurtured, but also about the alignment between it all. Okay, so that's really important because resilience can be deleveraged as well as leveraged. So, you know, if you are not being truthful with your staff, it will deleverage it. If you are not listening to your customer, okay, it will deleverage it. So I think there are things there, you know, from the research that are really strategic. At the personal level, there's some really straightforward stuff like the top enablers, being able to be present. It can drive you nuts if you're a doer, but actually really being able to stop that kind of lens of just getting on, being busy, and really opening out and taking moments and space, both individually and collectively, to notice the truth of what's going on and to act from that truth and not just the symptoms that you may be experiencing behaviourally or whatever. So being present, attending to energy, part of that is purpose. Okay, so if you're a manager and leader and you aren't clear on purpose and people's role within that purpose, actually that is very resilience building just to focus on that. An organization doesn't have to go through a huge amount of kind of OD work or learning and development to actually increase their resilience, you know, just a notch up. If everyone just kind of got on board and really talked about purpose, that's already really resilience inducing. There are others, increasing your learning capability, all the stuff that Peter Senge talked about and many others, and you know, that purpose and alignment. So, you know, there's 4 top things that people can think about. This is an interesting question because we would say that resilience underpins everything really. When you're working in acceptance work, you know, that's resilience building. If you are helping clients laugh, that's resilience building. If you are working on understanding stakeholder inputs, that's about perspective, that's resilience building. So there are so many things that are normal team coaching themes that are resiliency related. I guess the difference when you come to resilience coaches that are accredited under our kind of program is it's about the join between all these things, and actually therefore what's the bottom line for that adaptability. Is your team in an adaptable position right now? And if not, then change will fail, and therefore you need to build resilience first. Okay, so it's a precursor, it's a precondition for high performance. So it's that kind of ability to bring it back to the bottom line, bring it clearly to understanding what is required, the resilience demand upon a team versus actually what the potential is today, and not just ignore that gap if there is one. Benefits, I think, with senior coaches, we've really heard feedback that it is about rigor, clarity, confidence, We work with people on all sorts of resilience levels. Some people are thriving, some clients are coping, some people are no longer coping. It is the clarity and confidence of knowing what they need, how they are, being able to enable agency in the client very clearly. Is actually just, it accelerates the coaching, it enables agency, it accelerates the resilience, and therefore our results are fantastic. You know, there's a real satisfaction in working in this work, which is transformative, but often with very simple things. We attend to well-being, you know, of clients. We know about sleep, but at the same time, we may be in the coaching around prioritization and complex work. Right, so it's very holistic, it's integrative, it's pretty demanding program. One of the other benefits is everybody really connects together on the program and really shares. So you're really leaning on one another and one another's sort of practice within that. The other thing is we now are running in this virtually. A lot of the program is asynchronous, and that's actually pretty cool. You can actually fit it in and around both your client work and obviously, you know, whatever the demands are of the time. The programme has now been awarded 60 ICF accredited CCEUs. It's 80 hours in total, so you've got 60 hours of accredited CCEUs plus the 20 CPD hours. And I think that just, you know, it does a couple of things. It's obviously a very good route. If you're an ACC going for PCC, this gives you half your hours. If you're a PCC and MCC renewing, this is really straightforward. You will actually have all your hours required if you do this program. So that's really great. It's a really straightforward thing. I think the other thing about it is it absolutely gives that credence. And it brings something that in your client world is maybe resilience is on the side a little bit. But actually what this does is really say this is at the heart of coaching. This is a core coaching, you know, competency, if you like. So, you know, we would really encourage people to not think about resilience as a bunch of tools and techniques, but actually to think about it in the heart of the work. And as a result of that, you know, that rigor and confidence and clarity really comes through. What would my personal professional legacy be? A network of practitioners who really get this, organizations actually really being part of that network and really, you know, embedding this thinking, not just in the terms of a leadership development, but actually in the business day to day. So imagine that you were able to actually plan out work, plan out what your projects are, plan with your people, not just according to what the demand should be for clients and your customers, but also on the capability, you know, and the capacity of your people. So those two things going hand in hand would mean that the world was feeling a lot easier. So I would like scale. I'd like it to be international. My own sort of route personally would be that if that is all going on really well, I'd like to take this into community, bringing it right through to inequality, areas of inequality. So that's my path. I hope it's been interesting hearing about this, and thank you very much for watching and listening, and thank you to the AoEC for asking me to contribute. Bye now.